Was anybody talking?
Yes, someone was talking.
Okay, sorry, my audio went off, so I wasn't hearing anyone talking. Sorry. So let's go ahead. What is cloud computing? It's going to be very interactive. However, I'll still try to break it down and make it very clear to us. Demystify it. What is the whole mystery about cloud computing? The whole mystery about Azure is nothing big. It's something you know. It's something you relate with and interact with. So who wants to start first?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Yeah. So my understanding of cloud computing is when you want to consume resources, like normally, traditionally we consume resources physically before. Like you need storage, you want to access database, you want to use a particular hardware, you need to physically access those, services. But for cloud computing, you don't need to see those services physically. You just access it over the internet. You pay for that service. You don't need to know where they are located. You just subscribe to it, and then you consume it as you need it. Whether you need software, you are consuming those resources as services. If you need hardware, consume it as service. If you need software, consume it as service. You want to host your application on a platform, consume it as service. So everything is built into cloud computing. That's my own understanding of cloud computing.
Well, that was brilliant. Thanks so much. Anybody wants to add to it, or I should just drive it? Anyone wants to add to it?
I think he have covered it. Another thing is, it makes it makes it easy for scalability and also provide an opportunities for organizations to have their resources offhand without having to budget beyond their current state of strength.
All right, that's brilliant. So, we talked about scalability. So I'll start by trying to describe the situation of things before the era of cloud, before cloud came in. So what we used to hear before the advent of cloud was on-premises, data center. People tell you, we have our data centers, wherever location they want to secure their data center, they have a DR site, disaster recovery site. So you have your main data center and like a secondary site whereby you can distribute your services. So most people, they have their infrastructure. Lawrence mentioned something about resources. And so you'll be wondering, what resources is he talking about? Is he talking about natural resources? Those of us that understand agriculture and the likes. So he's telling you more about IT resources. IT resources. And when you talk of IT resources, you're talking about your infrastructure. You're talking about your infrastructure. And when you are dealing with infrastructure, you can break it down. You can break it down into three basic components. Any infrastructure you are dealing with today in IT, you are going to talk in any of these aspects. And one of the aspects is you're talking about compute. You're talking about compute. So imagine today, I have a laptop. Everybody has a laptop today. Laptop is no longer a luxurious item anymore. It's not luxurious anymore. It's not luxurious anymore. It's now more of a requirement. It's something you just need to do to work, because every now and then, it's not becoming a work tool which you need, whether a student, whether a professional. You just need to do something, because the way our world is wired today, you require one to work, you require one to learn, and you require one to live life. And so your laptop, today I want a laptop, and what determines your cost, what drives the cost of your laptop are three basic things. And those are the same basic thing that has been factored in when you talk about cloud. And one is compute. So you look at your laptop and you're asking, what is your CPU? Are you using an i5, i3, i7? Some people have i9. Today we have i9. That is your compute. And you now talk about storage. You talk about storage and you talk about network. So you are telling me what is the storage of your laptop? Are you using your hard drive or your hard disk? So are you using 512 SSD gigabyte, 512 gigabyte SSD? Are you talking about 1 terabyte? Are you talking about two? So you are looking at the storage, what will be the size of where your data will be stored. And you now talk of network. Today, it's possible to have this webinar because of this network. We're all on the same network today, regardless of wherever you find yourself, regardless whether you're in Nigeria or you're outside of Nigeria. We have people that are joining us outside of Nigeria, and it's on the basis of network. So if you don't have internet, there is no how you can collaborate, there is no how you can meet, and it's these three basic components that have been put together that drives cloud. And so somebody mentioned resource consumption. So I was talking about on-prem. So you have services, you have application, and today in any organization at all, there's hardly an organization that doesn't have an IT department. You need IT departments to function because today businesses, they ride on IT. Think of whatever business at all it is, logistics, think about finance, think about agriculture, they ride on IT. And so those days, what used to happen before the advent of cloud was, I remember there was a time we needed to deploy something for my organization. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to be doing printing. We want people to be able to go and print, regardless of whatever branch you find yourself. And we want the printing to go by the internet. So I think that was when BVN just came in, this biometric verification number. CBN introduced that, and people are going to come into the branches. People are coming to the banking hall to come and register, and we don't want them coming in to use the bank's resources or coming in and whatever they are printing over the bank's network. So we want to segregate it. We want to find a way of putting them on the network where they don't have access to whatever we're doing internally on the bank's network. So put them outside on public space. They are on the internet. You want to print your slip, you print just there, because I think there's a requirement of you print a slip which you use to complete your registration for PVN. So after you finish your registration, there's a little leaflet that you're meant to print out. So we felt, okay, let people print it out from there, and they don't need to come and send to any bank staff to print it. From your phone, you can send to print. And we're asked to take care of that project, and we looked at it. So what do we need to do? We have to talk to our sysadmin team. There's an aspect of IT that is called system administration. So we told them, please, we need a server where we can install this print service, Google Print service. And they told us, so what are the requirements? What kind of server do you need? Meaning the CPU, number of cores that is required, what operating system do you want to install on it? And they started asking, what about the memory? What memory do you need? What storage do you need? What are the services that have been installed? A lot of requirements came out, and they were asking, you need to give us those details so that we can quickly provision a server for you. And we gave them those details, and they prepared it. But guess what? In between talking to the sysadmin department to give us a server, provision a server for us, and they coming back to tell us, what do you need? What kind of specification do you want us to build for you? A lot of time was spent. You get, so it didn't happen in 1 hour. I want to tell you today, no matter how fast you are in your organization on-prem, because there are a lot of bottlenecks, there are a lot of flow, the workflow is not seamless. There's no how you are going to provision a server within 2 hours. So even though it's possible, you can do a provisioning within 20 minutes. But the request and the likes, the request coming from the user and is going to the server, the administrator, the IT administrator, it will take a while. So normally, before now, it will take 5 days, depending on how whatever has been structured, or what the structure is, or the policy is in the organization. Some people will do 5 days, some people will do 2 days, some people will are very quick, maybe have a turnaround time of 1 day. You get, but it was never in house because a lot of things are going to be involved. You need to get approval. The IT admin or the system admin person need to get approval from his line manager. We have this provisioning, or get approval from the IT management and say, okay, there's a request to handle this infrastructure, to deploy this infrastructure. Sir, can we go ahead and do it? A lot of forth and back. And so it always takes time. So that was the experience. And so I mentioned, whether on-prem or in cloud, you need compute, you need storage, you need network. So those are the basic infrastructures. Those are the basic components that infra ride on. And so cloud came in and people felt you don't need to wait for too long. And the concept of self-service came in. That was part of where self-service started coming into our world today. That I don't want to talk to an IT department to get my server provisioned. I don't need an IT department to do that. All I just need to do is I want a platform where I can come in, I'll log in, I'll pay for whatever I want to consume. And in instant of 5 minutes, and situations of, it can even happen in 2 minutes, I'll get whatever resources I want provision. You will see, we're going to demo here. It will be provisioned for me and I'll be fine. And so that is the part of resource consumption. So you have customers, you have internal customers, you have consumers, end users that want to consume a service. Consumption is very key when you're defining cloud, whether in cloud or whether you're on-prem. So we want to consume a service, and in consuming this service, so let's say, for instance, one service could be people want to log into your internet banking platform. This could be okay, like when COVID hit the world and the government made it mandatory that everybody must go and do tests. So if you are coming in from wherever into Nigeria, you must have been scheduled for a test. As you are landing, you go and book for COVID-19 test, and after the test, the result must come out. If it is negative, then you are free. If it's not negative, it's positive, you have to be quarantined. You have to stay 2 weeks before you can allow to go out. And so that is one service. And somebody is going to be behind it to say, wow, we need to provision a server where people that are coming in can go and log in. You can go and register, fill in your itineraries. Okay, I'm coming in from whatever country into Nigeria. I just came in so and so day. There are details that will be required. Those things, they are services. And you don't want to wait for any IT department to get that up. You want something that you can just pay for and you get it done easily. And so another part of issue that was happening with before the era of cloud was this aspect of you need an environment. If you are going to set up a data center for your servers, the organizations that have over 150 servers. I remember some even 700 servers, depending on how big your organization is. But imagine a bank like First Bank, a bank like GT Bank, and the likes, number of servers they will run. All those banks, they have data center. And in their data center, imagine what the amount of money, that will be spent is a keeper's project. So much money will be spent to get server to come in. When you bring in the server, imagine power, imagine cooling. If you have been to a data center before, you need a cooling system. A lot of money will be factored into it. And the brain behind cloud computing is we don't want people to spend so much. And with as little as $100, you can get yourself a server. You can reach it from anywhere in the world. Let me just call up my slide. So with just as little as $100, you have access to an environment where you can serve yourself. You are not calling any IT department. You can just log into that platform. And one, you talked about on-demand self-service, you talk about broad network access. Lawrence was mentioning internet. You can access it over the internet, wherever you are in the world today. You can spin up a server. You can spin up a server without leaving your house. And you're going to see it being demonstrated here. Without leaving my house, without going to any bank, without going to write any mail, I'll just log into my portal and spin up or provision a server for myself to use. And there's this aspect of resource pooling. You know, those days, you have different servers. You need an application to run on the server. You have to go and provision one server. And that server, you assign it resources, you assign storage, you assign RAM, memory, and the like. And you see a lot of, at times, you might have an application that is not using up the resources we provision for it. Maybe you have a limit, standard template that, okay, any server you have provisioning should not be lower than minimum of 8 gig memory. And so your application might not even need more than 8, might not need up to 8 gig. It just needs something, maybe 2 gig to run. Like a print service, I don't need 8 gig. Let's say I need 4 gig to run it. And the basic minimum is that 8 gig. It becomes a very difficult issue, you see. And so you just end up wasting resources. So for cloud, it gives you opportunity and avenue for you to pull resources together. And you have a lot of people pulling from that resources. Regardless of wherever location you are, you can pull from that resources, make use of it. And once you are off, you let go of it. And you only pay for what you consume. And somebody talked about scalability, rapid elasticity. And so let's say when I started that print service I was discussing about, we had only 500 customers registering for BVN. What we do in a day is 500 customers coming in. And over time, there was a growth. We are now seeing there's a jump. You're now having 1,000 customers coming in. Gradually, it's going to 2,000. Gradually, it's going to 5,000. It will become another challenge for the IT guy in-house. So I will not tell him, guy, this server is becoming slow. When people send to print, it's taking so much time because of what we initially provisioned or what we initially expected, what we projected for. We projected for maybe 200 customers coming in. Today, we're having 5,000 customers coming in to do a registration. How do we undo it? It's not very easy. You see, you have to start. Is that they will shut down that server, add more RAM to it, add memory to it, add storage and the likes. I mean, a lot of bottlenecks. It's not going to be seamless as what you have for cloud. For cloud, if I want 5 servers added to what I have, maybe initially I spin up 3 servers. I can grow from 3 to 5 just by a click. And if I find out that, oh, number of customers we have is now dropping from 5,000, we're now getting 400. Okay, we've been able to get a lot of people to come out and do their BVN registration. So the number is dropping compared to when we initially started. So I don't need 8 gig anymore. I want to reduce the resources that will be consumed or that I have on that server. So what do I need to do? With cloud, you can drop it down. It's very elastic. You can increase, you can reduce. Whatever direction you want to go, whether you're going vertically or horizontally. So you want more memory, you want more storage, you can go up. And if you feel like, consumption is becoming lower, you don't have high consumption as it used to be, the request is dropping, you can come down, you can compress it. That is how rapid it is. And it happens very rapidly compared to what you have on-prem. And then you talk about measured services. Somebody mentioned that you pay for what you want to use. So the only way I can pay for what I've used, the only way you can determine that this is what you have used is for you to measure the service. So I measured in the last 20 days, you've been able to use 20 gig of storage. You have made use of 8 gig memory. So there's a way your service is measured on cloud, and based on the measurement, you are giving a subscription, you are giving a receipt to pay for. Your cost is given to you, you get a bill. You be issued a bill to say this is what you have used in the last 20 days, and you pay for it. Unlike on premises, so you want to buy a big server, and now you have a server you need to buy. Now maybe it's even IBM server you're buying. You can't tell the vendor or the OEM and say, sorry, the bank has not started running. Please, let's pay small. let's pay instrumentally. No. You buy and you pay once. It's a CapEx investment. And it doesn't matter if you have more customers. It doesn't matter whether you have fewer customers, whether it's going up and down. That infrastructure has been bought. Let's say you've paid 1.5 million naira for it. That is what you've paid. So even when you don't even use it, there are times maybe the government comes, okay, we're no longer doing BPN anymore. It's now NIN. You have to shut down that service. The cost you have incurred is there. And let's say in the cost of the month, in the middle of the month, the government just come and say, shut this thing down. See, whatever it is that you've paid for it. But for cloud, if something comes up and you say, see, I'm not going to stay until 30th of June anymore. I want to stop my service at 15th of June. You can shut down at 15th of June and you only pay for 1st to 15th. You won't have to pay for the remaining days that you won't use it. And that's the beauty of measured service and cloud. So the NIST came up, which is the National Institute of Standard and Technology. They came up with these characteristics and said, when you're talking about cloud, you need to talk about on-demand self-service. Is self-service as you demand, is whenever you want it. So you don't, if you don't need something now, you don't need to come and spin or provision a server. I need it in December. When it's time in December, I will come, I'll spin it, I'll make use of it. And when I don't want it, I can shut it down.
So are you sharing your screen?
And, oh, sorry. Sorry. So we're talking about the characteristics of cloud. So when you talk about cloud, it's just a management software, and you have a lot of infrastructures underneath that people want to consume, people want to make use of. But you need something that can help you manage that interface. So people are not seeing the infrastructure underneath. What they are seeing is a platform where they can be able to make requests for that resources. Oh, I want 8 gig of a server or for a VM that is running a Linux OS. It could be Ubuntu, it could be Red Hat, it could be Windows Server 2021, 2020, 2022, it could be say 2019. Whatever server it is you want to run, you can run on it. And so, but that platform that you are seeing, where you have to log in and you have to make payments, and it helps you to administer whatever it is you have used is what you will pay. That is your cloud. And NIST came up with these 5 characteristics that if you want to, what makes cloud to be cloud is that one, it is on-demand self-service. It's a consumption that will go over broad network access over the internet. There's resource pooling, a lot of people coming in to pull from one source. And you talk about rapid elasticity. I mentioned about how quickly you can expand and how quickly you can also contract. If you feel like, oh, number of services are no longer needed anymore, I don't need 5 servers anymore, I need 2. You can cut it down. And measured services, it is pay as you go. You don't pay for what you have not used. Nobody will charge you and say, let's say you have planned to make use of it for 5 years. The price is the price. If it is 2.5 billion, that is the price. If it is 3.5 billion, that is the price. There's nothing you can do about that. But for cloud, if I said, okay, I want to make use of this thing, I have subscribed to this service. Let's say I have $200. My $200 can take me for as long as I want. I can choose to say, okay, I spin a server today. I've used it for 3 days. On the 4th day, I want to shut it down. I'm only going to pay for what I've used, which is just 3 days. So you can spin up a server. You want to, most times, even very helpful for when you have the scenario where you want to do a demo, you want to do a POC, proof of concept, and the likes. I remember those days. You remember when I wanted to do, there was this proof of concept I wanted to do for, was it Big Fix also? And imagine we have to get server to come up and the likes. See, you just spin up all those resources that will come up, and it just only for 1 day or 2 days. See how much you spent. But if you are on the cloud, you can spend as little as $20, as quickly as possible as you want. $20, spin up a server, good spec, and when you're done, you shut it down, you delete it, and you're fine. So nobody's bothered about, oh, this server, what do we need to do? What do we use it for? And no, it's as easy as that. So it's makes life easy for you. You don't have to invest so much, do a lot of capital investment. So it's OPEX transaction. It's an OPEX investment for cloud. It's operating expenses, something you pay on a regular basis and for as long as you want. Today, you might choose to say, I don't need Azure anymore. I want to go to AWS. You can easily move. There's that ease of mobility from one cloud provider to the other cloud provider. But if you have bought your HP servers and today you say, we don't want to do with HP, HP is not doing fine, let's move to Oracle. You have to find where you put your HP servers if you don't have enough space. You see what is going to be involved, the stress, moving those servers from the data center, bringing in, to even the carriage is a problem because those servers are massive. I'm going to show us, you're going to see it. You have very massive servers, very, very big servers, and movement is not easy. Unlike in cloud, I don't need to bother with the movement of the server. I just come and spin and I'm fine. I'm good to go. So these are the basics. And so you now ask, why do we need to learn cloud? I mean, you all know that there's becoming high demand for cloud computing skills is increasing. People don't want to just stay on-prem. People they want to enjoy self-service. I want to serve myself. I want to be able to reset my password wherever I find myself. And those features are only possible where you are, when you're running on cloud. It's easier when you're running on cloud. And you see, cloud computing skills is becoming relevant today for an IT professional. If you check out all the classes that we've had so far since we started this bootcamp, these are not things you can easily do on-prem. You can't easily do them on-prem. Some of the demos that we do, so let's say you don't want to use your laptop, you want to do it over the cloud, it becomes very easy and at minimal cost to you. And now, so let's talk about cloud computing model. So I told us about on-premises. On-premises is not in cloud. So when you hear about cloud, it's not telling you maybe something that is up there. Cloud is just saying you are consuming that service over the internet and you are paying for what you have consumed. And so let's say today, I've introduced us to on-prem. It's just a private network. So you can call it your own private cloud because there are times whereby you have those services being consumed over your network in different locations. So it's not in the same location. You have people in head office, you have people in other branches, in other states, trying to make use of that particular service. Let's say, for instance, you have a CRM platform where you manage your customers, onboard customers, serve them, they can raise complaints and the likes. So you can choose to get people to access those services outside of your main branch. They might not even be in your data center. They're accessing it from wherever they are. And they are not in your data center, but they're on the same network with your data center services. And so it's still a private cloud, but it's not made to the public. It's not accessible to public. Public users can't just make use of it. Nobody can just come from anywhere and say, hey, I want to log on to your platform and start using it. So that is what you have here. Is in cloud, is not in cloud, is on-prem, is residential in your own environment. And it's only those you give access to that will have access to it. And you don't have the cloud, which is going over the internet. All your services are over the internet. And you have the model whereby you are combining both. You have some resources that are deployed in the cloud and you have some on-prem. So there's a mix. Today, most banks don't have their core banking application in the cloud. You have it on-prem. It is internal in their own internal environment or maybe in their own data center. But there are some other services that they consume, the internal staff are using, and they are going over the cloud. Today, there's hardly any organization or any bank in Nigeria that doesn't have Microsoft Office. They have Office 365 they are using. That is the cloud service. And so, even though it's not residential in their data center. It's over the cloud, over the internet. They can consume it from anywhere. And difference is that unlike their call banking, for instance, you have your customer service agents or representative, you have the tellers, the front tellers, you want to go and withdraw. Your teller cannot log into the application from their home. Mark my word, except they have VPN. So let's say there's no VPN over the internet, they want to log in. It's not going to be possible because the call banking that is serving that platform is not in the cloud, is on-prem. But for their email, they can access it anywhere. You don't have to be in the bank to access your email from your home, from your phone. There were days, I remember I was doing my internship. Once we close from the office, that is the end. You don't have access to your email because it was on-prem. There was nothing like phone. You don't get your email pop on your phone. It's over time, things started changing. Everybody said, I think it's best to do this over the cloud. So now you can access your email on your phone. You are fine from anywhere. You might be outside of Nigeria. You have your access to your email. You can check what is happening in the office. But those days, if you travel out of the country, you don't have access. You don't even know what is happening. You are just blanked out until you come into the office or you look for a network and to log in and access your email. And I remember now it's changing. The advent of MFA, which we're going to demonstrate, the advent of self-service password. Those days, once you create a new user on your environment, on your Azure, your Active Directory, they have to log in on a system on the network. But today with cloud directory like Azure AD, you can from anywhere log in into your environment. In fact, you can get somebody that is not, there's B2B, business to business. You can get somebody that is not in the environment, that is not even in your organization, to come onto your own tenant, to log in and even consume service. And that's the beauty of cloud. It gives room for third-party integration and collaboration. And so there's a fourth part, which I didn't mention here, and that is the part called community cloud. There is a community cloud. And for community cloud, is a kind of a private cloud where you have people coming in. It's just for specialized services. Imagine the likes of FBI, imagine like maybe a CBN and the likes of central banks of countries. And so military personnel, intelligence and the likes. So because you don't want to be on the same cloud with the public, you want a very specialized cloud whereby it's just for your own community. You can get to develop things. Whatever you are consuming is restricted to that community. It doesn't go out. It's not accessible to the general public. So that is a community cloud. It's just when you're looking at specialized functions, military, you're looking at CBN, central bank, and the like. So you don't want to, you just have your own cloud. It's not sitting anywhere in anybody's organization. It's still a cloud, but it's private, and it's not not an hybrid. It's just different from hybrid. It's looking like an hybrid, but it's not hybrid. So it's just very private. Nobody can have access to it. It's only those you want to bring in that can come into it. So let's say you have some partners working with FBI, and okay, I need you guys to come and deploy a service. So you can get them in to come into your own cloud. It's a private cloud. It's a kind of a private cloud. So basically, the broad breakdown of cloud is you have public and private. And when you talk about public and private, for the public one, you can have it combined. It can be hybrid, it can be on-prem. So for your hybrid one, you're combining on-prem and cloud together. So you have some services that are running in the cloud. You can consume them over the internet, and there are some services that they are internal to you. External people can't get access to it. It has to be consumed internally. That is the breakdown for our cloud computing model. And so now let's talk about types of as a service. So you have a stack. These are basic stack you can get whether you're running in the cloud or you're running on-prem. And so For on-prem stack, you have your networking. I mentioned networking, you have storage, you have servers, and on those servers, you have installed some virtualization softwares. It could be VMware, mostly VMware. It could be Hyper-V, Microsoft Hyper-V, HP, Hyper-V, Microsoft Hyper-V. And so you now have OS sitting on those virtualization, and you have a middleware, you have the runtime, you have data and application. When you talk of middleware, I'm just talking about more of the software that gives you some features that are not available from your OS. So it could be like something like this queue management. So if you want extra features that your OS can't provide, the middleware takes care of that. And for runtime is more of like a platform that you give to your code to run. So you have some code written on Java, and so you can get the Java runtime that will allow those code written on Java to be able to run. So it's just more like a VM, but just a platform that allows the code to run. And you have data and you have application. So whatever application you want to make use of today needs data to function. So give an instance, everybody has NIN. And when you are going to do your passport registration, you're asked to provide your NIN. And there are portals you can go to. I think recently, NCC came up and says if you don't have NIN linked to your mobile phone number, you should be restricted. The telcos should restrict you. They should bar your line from receiving, from calling out. You can only receive calls. You can't call out. And so there's a platform telcos are provided for you to go, provide your details, and you can get registered and you get your NIN provided. That application can work without data. So whatever data you are provided is stored somewhere. And so the application is interacting with your data for it to function. There are some functions that won't work. You know, there are days whereby you find out some banks are down and you try to log into your account and you're seeing zero balance. Say, what? I have how much on this account? You're telling me zero balance. It's because of there is a disconnect between your application and data. So application can't run without data. So on-prem, all these stacks, they are managed by you. From networking down to the application, you take care of it. You have different specialists, professionals that have been chosen to handle them. You have some that are, their own is just database engineer, they are database administrator. They just focus on that. Some people are developers, they are managing your middleware, your runtime, they develop applications, they write codes that can take care of that. And you have your system administrator, the OS, they are managing the OS for you. So patching that OS, installing application on it, ensuring that you take care of vulnerability and the likes, all those things, they are done by you. If it is on-prem, you can't go and call Microsoft and say, Microsoft, come and manage my premises for my data center for me. You will get staff, you employ staff that will take care of that headache. It's their headache. They have to sort it out. That is on-prem. But now, when you're talking about the model of infrastructure as a service, now you are splitting the responsibility now. There are some that is managed by you, the consumer, the customer, and you have some that they are being managed by the vendor itself. So you have from the networking stack to the virtualization. So the vendor, in this case, could be Microsoft, it could be Amazon, it could be Google. They are taking care of the infrastructure. So networking, the storage, the server, and virtualization part is not known to you. It's not known to you. So all you just need to do is you spin up a VM, and on that VM, you want to determine what OS to be installed. You want to determine the middleware that will come on that OS, the runtime, the data you are bringing into it, and the application. So from the OS stack to the application stack is managed by you. It's not the business of the vendor. It's not the business of the cloud provider. It's your own headache. So you are responsible for patching it. If you want to reboot, if you want to restart it, everything is taken care of by you. If there's a new patch that has been released, you have to ensure your OS is patched, the patches are up to date, and you take care of any security vulnerabilities so that there are no exposures. So that is infrastructure as a service. The infrastructure part of that stack is handled by the vendor. So the networking part, kind of network you want to configure, the store, what kind of storage you should have, the server, managing those servers, managing networking and everything is handled by the vendor. You don't bother your head about it and say, oh, server is down today. Oh, there's no more storage. We're out of storage, which is going to be your own headache if you're on-prem. If you are going out of storage, you have to take care of that. So imagine you have an FTP server. Everybody's dropping files there. They want to access files. And there are days whereby they tell you, hey, this thing is almost full. We're getting an alert. We can no longer copy files into it anymore because the space is being maxed out. So that is the one headache. But for you as a cloud customer that is running on the infrastructure as a service model, you are adopting that infrastructure as a service model. It's not your headache for storage. It's not your business. You can never even run out of storage. So if you have said, I want 50 gig, Microsoft will not come and say, hey, sorry, we can't give you 50 gig. We don't have enough storage anymore. I want 1 terabyte. Oh, sorry, you can't give 1 terabyte. So it's their headache. They must ensure those bits and details are taken care of. And that's the aspect of infrastructure as a service. You now have platform as a service. For platform as a service, you now have fewer stack to manage as the customer. You have fewer stack to manage. And for this, you have something like Kubernetes, where you have your Azure Kubernetes service, AKS. You have something like SQL Server. And so, unlike for infrastructure, you could have chosen to say, just give me the VM. When you install your OS, let's say you're installing a Windows server, you now want to install MySQL database server on it also. So it's your headache. But for platform as a service, you don't want to be bothered about it. All you're bringing in is your data. So Microsoft is going to make provision for your MySQL. You run it as a service for you. So you just buy that, you pay for that service. All you're bringing in your data and the application that will connect to it. That is the only part that concerns you. You are less concerned about the runtime that is on those platforms, the middleware, the OS. You don't even care whether underneath is Linux, whether it is Windows, is Microsoft headache. All you are taking care of, you are bringing in your data. I have data, 16 gig of data of my customer, or my customer database is here. And these are the applications I want to deploy in it. So you deploy the application and you deploy the data, and both of them are integrated together. So it's your own business. Whatever you want to do with it is your business. It doesn't involve Microsoft. It doesn't involve AWS. It doesn't involve Amazon, or that doesn't involve Google. So all they provide for you is they take care of the stack that runs from runtime down to networking. And there's a beautiful one that is called software as a service, which everybody is doing today. Everybody is doing software as a service today. There's hardly any person that is not consuming it. And for that stack, the vendor takes care of everything, from the application to the data to the runtime. Everything is taken care of by the vendor, which is in this case Microsoft, it could be Google, it could be Oracle, it could be IBM. You get so an instance of software as a service is our Gmail. So today you don't bother yourself to say, this Gmail we need to patch it to. There's a security vulnerability that has been discovered. There's an exposure. Let's patch it. You don't bother yourself with patching it. It's not your business. All you care about is the service itself, which is your email service. You create an account, you log into it. If there's a new feature that is being introduced, it's not your business. Or you just come on, you say, there's a new feature now. Before, the login page used to be at the top. Now it's not down. But it used to be at the center. It's now no longer at the center. It's at the right-hand side. You can change features, do whatever you want to do. That is taken care of by the vendor. All you do is you just consume that service. And that's why it's called software as a service. It's more of software driven. The hardware and infrastructure underneath is managed by the vendor. You have Office 365. It's also like that too. So Office 365, you don't even know where the server is sitting. You don't even know what kind of server that is running on it. Where is this applications? What kind of server is it sitting on? You don't even know whether it's a Linux server, whether it's a Windows server. You don't care about it. All you just want to care about is, I want my email. Anytime I want to consume it, log into my email, and I'm fine. Unlike those days where you used to have your email on-prem. you have email on-prem. And so because of that, you have staffs or you have professionals that have been employed to manage that. So in that instance, there are times whereby they say, oh, email is down, people can send email, the organization takes care of that headache. But if you are doing software as a service, the headache is Microsoft. So for instance, I think there was not too long, recently, I know it was this year, there was a downtime. One of the data center for Microsoft went down, and it impacted email services. Some mails were not coming up. People could not send email. At that instance, it's not the IT staff of that organization that be bothered, it's Microsoft. So Microsoft had to come up and say, sorry, we are aware there's a downtime, we are working to restore the service, and please give us some time. It's their headache. They will take care of it. So they have to fix it, because what you are paying for, you're only paying for that software to make use of that software. So regardless of this platform, you can play around it. So you can choose as an organization depending on what exactly you're looking at, depending on what policy. For instance, we have GDPR today, and they will tell you that there are some data that you can't put in the cloud. For instance, even if you have some data in the cloud, let's say they will tell you that there are some regions you can't have your data on. Let's say now you're in the UK and they will tell you, see, you can't run your data, your application, you must not spin up any server that is outside of Europe or that is outside of the UK. You can't, they won't even allow you to come in there. And it's part of the reasons NDPR, that of Nigeria now they're not saying, see, as banks, there are some things you can't have in the cloud. In fact, there are some, your core banking can be in the cloud, because we are mindful of your data, where your data resides. You can't just push your data anywhere. You can't just say, because I'm a bank, I want scalability, I want rapid elasticity, so let me go to the cloud. No, you can't go. So there are policies around. So any kind of policy that manages your own space or your own industry. So your industry might not accommodate you doing infrastructure as a service. They might tell you for some applications, you have to do it on-prem. And that's why today, there is no, I'm not sure, maybe later on it will change. There is no bank that has its core banking application in the cloud. Apart from the part of security, I mean, the policies, the government policies, CBN policy does not allow you to do that, because they're telling you your data must reside internally on your environment. You must keep your data inside. It should not be exposed to a public cloud. And so there are situations whereby you say, okay, I don't want to do on-prem, I need to do software as a service. And that is the likes of for email. So after a while, a company felt, why do we bother ourselves? We need to go and get an Exchange server administrator to be taking care of Exchange email. No, we don't need all those things anymore. Let's just get the service. Let's adopt cloud. Let's adopt software as a service, so that people can take care of, Microsoft will take care of it for us. All we just need to do is take care of provisioning of users. Whoever want to provision email for you, you consume it from anywhere you can access it. And so depending on policies, you might just do platform as a service, it can be software as a service, it can be infrastructure as a service. And today, you can get MongoDB on Microsoft, you can have Cosmo DB on the cloud. So depending on what platform you want to use, all those platforms, depending on your structure, you can sit in as on-prem, you can sit as infrastructure as a service, you can also sit as a platform as a service, and it can also be software as a service. So now we look at the reliability layer in the cloud. We're talking about on-prem. Today, on-prem, if there's any issue today, reliability for on-prem is mostly hardware-driven. It's hardware-driven. So what they do is, because we don't want any downtime, you now have those that are using VMware. We don't want any downtime. You now have several hosts on your VMware platform, such that on that host, you can have, let's say you have 5 hosts now running, and each of those hosts has VMs. So if you have, let's say you have a VM that is where you have installed, let me put, for instance, I'm just using as an example. You have a VM where that is housing your internet banking, for instance. And so the VM is sitting on host 1. The VM is sitting on host 1. You have another host 2 that is taking care of let's say your CRM, you have host 3 with different applications. So there are times whereby your host 1, there is an issue on your host 1, and you don't want people to know that there is a downtime. So what you just do, you can quickly migrate from host 1 to host 2. So you just migrate the VM, it's going to happen seamlessly. People might not even detect that there's an issue. So once there's an issue, maybe the host 1 is in on state, you can really migrate it from host 1, take it to host 2, the VM sit on host 2, and start running as if there was no change in the environment. And that is the level to which the technology has grown to. So that is the aspect of on-prem. So most of the things you are putting in place, most of the measures you are putting in place to ensure that the downtime is minimized, they happen on the hardware level. But rather for cloud, you are doing it on software level. It's software level. And so you can have multiple instances of compute and storage. And so that's why today in Microsoft, AWS, they have different regions. Their data center is in different regions across. You can be in Nigeria and you are being served from a data center that is in the UK, or sorry, that is in the US. It can be West US, East US. It can even be in a data center that is in South Africa. And so there are multiple instances running. So you're not even looking at the level of host now. So if there's an issue in South Africa, maybe there's an issue in South Africa, they can migrate you to a data center that is outside of that region. You might be taken to a different region. You might even go to East US. Let's say there's an issue with customers that are on East US data center. They can move you to customers in West US. And you will not even be aware of all these things. They happen in split seconds. You just notice, you might not even know. So that is the reliability you have. So to minimize downtime, a lot of downtimes happen. People don't know there are downtimes because they've implemented some reliability to ensure that customers are not aware of this downtime. It's only when it becomes a major one that you now know, it's like WhatsApp is down. Oh, it's like we can't do Facebook. Oh, it's like we can't send email. Office 365 is down. If it's not a major downtime, there are downtimes affecting regions whereby they easily move you to a different region and you start operating from there without you knowing what happens behind. And so you can also do VM migration. So most things you find out is when there's a lot of maintenance happen before they start maintenance. Whatever migration that needs to be done would have been done before the maintenance. And so when maintenance starts, you don't move VMs. Otherwise, you disrupt service. You can even cause a crash that will cause immediate downtime. And so you can also migrate VMs. So there are times where there's a planned maintenance. There are situations where there's a planned maintenance, and you can move your VMs from one host to a different. You can move them in between hosts. You can move them between hosts. You can move them. And when I talk of hosts, I'm talking of data centers. I'm talking of different regions. And so I don't think you've ever heard of Microsoft doing maintenance and they're sending email like you would get with our local service providers, with banks and the likes. There are times they will tell, oh, sorry, we're having a maintenance. Maintenance happened in the cloud and customers don't even know because they've taken care of that for you. What they would have done is they'll move the work. If they are going to do maintenance, let's say they're doing maintenance on the data center in South Africa, they would have taken that workload from South Africa to a different data center. So people are working from a different data center and they can run maintenance in South Africa, do what needed to be done. And after that, they come back to South Africa without your knowledge. But today, I don't think most banks, you always get notification, sorry, we're having maintenance. And really, those bottlenecks are there because they are not running in the cloud. So that is the advantage you have. That is the advantage you have. It gives room for a lot of flexibility. Cloud gives room for a lot of reliability. Microsoft will tell you reliability, the SLA is 99.999, 5 nines. That is to tell you how sure they are that, see, the infrastructure we have put in place is able to assure minimal downtime. In a year, it might not be more than maybe 1 or 2 downtime that will impact your service. So you can stay 2-3 years and you are not seeing any downtime because of the factor in a lot of reliability. They have a lot of data centers, which we are going to see. I'm going to take a tour and see what data center, this Azure we're hearing of, before we now go to the hands-on part, you're going to see what is behind it. The infrastructures that is not exposed to you in the cloud, that is not exposed to you, that they built around it. You are not aware of it. You just know that I log into my Azure platform, I want server, I spin it up. I want to spin this here Azure container registry, I spin it up. I want a VM, I want a database, whatever resource I spin it up and I'm fine. Those are not known to you, but it happens. And so this is just a map. This is just a map of Microsoft data centers. These are the data centers they have across the world, all over the world, different continents. You see, because they know their customers are in different continents, they didn't just build data centers restricted to one continent. It is spread across all continents, different regions of the world, just because they want to ensure reliability and that you have availability as high as 99.99 every point in time. So let us take a talk and see. So we want to take a talk. If you can zoom in the map. This is the map now. So you can see you can do a filter based on industry, based on region. You have different, like I mentioned to us, you have different regions, and under different regions, you have availability zones on them. So you can see they are giving you regions. For instance, if you come on here, so you can see this is Mexico. If you come on, this is South Central US, moving just like that, West US. I told us about the regions. You have West US too. So they have two regions. There's West US and there's West US too. These are the regions you have where they have all the data centers. So we can just zoom further just to see the region. I think there's a region they put in there, not just showing. So but let's quickly take a tour, see what a typical data center is. The data center that is serving Azure. Let's see how it is like. So without those data center, your cloud is not cloud. What makes Microsoft Azure a cloud platform is these data centers. And so you can see this is the entrance. I just give you an overview. If you check up there, you can see some these mob like these are solar panels. These are solar panels. These are wind vanes. Just to get energy to power up the data center. Imagine how much you will spend if you are running your data center or on local national grid. You know how much of money you will spend. It's just something you can't even fathom. Imagine. So the kind of the useness, the largeness of equipment they have in this data center, you can't run on national grid. So they have a different power provision for it. They run on solars and wind. So this is the lobby. Just take a tour before we now go to the Azure platform itself. Okay, so this is the lobby. Let's explore our lobby. So you can see when you come in, this is the data center. You come into the data center, you have somebody that is inside, like an attendant that can take you through. You have a revolving door where you enter into where you have your infrastructures and the likes. So this is the entrance, the lobby of your data center. So you can see, can go around it. And all these are happening because of cloud. broad network access. You can see have a place where you can just convert and maybe you want to eat or have a little discussion on meeting. So this will be an opportunity for those of us that you've not seen how a typical data center is like. You'll see it now. Let's go to the operations room now. This is where things are being monitored. They are monitoring the whole data center. If there's any issue with any infrastructure, you can quickly check. So you can see the monitoring screen. So for Azure to be up, you have people that are watching, people are taking care, they are monitoring it. If there's any alert, they quickly check what region is down, what is the issue, and they need to make necessary escalation. So I know some organizations, they have this. You have monitoring dashboard where you monitor your applications so that if there are issues, you detect it first before the customers are able to detect it. It would be wrong that it's customer that is calling to tell you there's an issue. So you should have an alert screen or a dashboard monitoring screen. We did monitoring some weeks back. So this is what you see, typical operation center. You are managing operations for your organization, ensuring that things are running the way they should run and the customers are served well. So this is just that. Let's go to the mechanical center. So I mentioned about power. So you have another aspect, another part. You can see how big it is. The cooling system. So you have the containers. This is not normal where you have that is handling power for the data center because it's a massive project, it's a massive building. So you can see a lot of wind bands. If you go on top, you see solar panels on top. So they have different way of powering the data center. Different way of powering the data center, so that you can't just say there's no light, power is off. There's a national grid. Imagine if you have this kind of data center in Nigeria, and you now mention there's a power grid collapse. That means you want to kill the business. You can't afford such downtime. The servers that are running on this data center, they are very sensitive servers. You can't afford any downtime. You can't just allow power to go off, otherwise you can crash them. So let's go to the server room, and there I won't take the whole tour. You can always go and check it. It's online. I will just post. Let me post I'll drop the link for us online so that if you want to take a view, you can take it at your own leisure. So let's look at the server room. And so this is the server room. They have infrastructure as this. You have multiple of these in different locations across different continents. So you can see the light coming on. These are different server blades. You have some disks, you have storage, network. Some are just network components to manage your network for you. Some are switches, handling traffic, network traffic. So you can imagine this. This is just one location. So this is how Microsoft live. These are the things that are powering up the next phase or the next platform I'm going into now, which is Azure. These are the things powering it up for us. Without all these infrastructures, you can't have a portal where you can consume service yourself, where you can take that on-demand service to serve yourself. So that was a view. So let's go straight to our hands-on session. So I'm using a playground from Cold Cloud. Oh, it's ended. Sorry, so I have to spin another one. This was the one I had before now. I'm sure they would have timed me out. Let me just, okay, so it's timed out. So I have to spin another one. But ideally, what would have happened is that if I'm not using the playground from Code Cloud, you can have portal.azure. You just come to this portal. You come to this portal and you log into it. So what Microsoft has done is, because they want new people to come and onboard, they want to onboard new customers, they give you free credit of $200 for a year. If you're a new customer, you've never used Azure before, they give you $200 to come and have a fee. Just a trial version. Come and have a trial. See how the platform is like. What does it entail? What are the different things you can consume? What can you do on it and the likes? So you have $200 to spend for 1 year. After 1 year, so depending on which one comes first, is either you spend your $200, you exhaust it, or it gets to 1 year. So after 1 year, whether you make it over $200 or not, it's going to be expired. Automatically, they will cancel it. But however, at the expiry of your subscription, you have um, some services that are free. There are some free services. Microsoft does, okay, let's allow people to just make use of these services without paying for it. So whether you have a credit or not, you can make use of that service. Let me just do some little discussion. So yes, just talked about some hierarchies. If I move to so you have the Azure account hierarchy. So for an enterprise, most of us, but typically what Microsoft have put in place, the structure they have in place is you have an enterprise enrollment. Enterprise is organizations, big organizations, banks, government organizations, let's say like of CBN, the likes of NIMSI, and the likes NCC. So those are enterprise. So in enterprise, you have different departments. So from an enterprise, you can break down to different departments. And for each department, you can have different accounts. You can own different accounts, and under each account, you don't have subscription. So your Azure subscription doesn't stand alone. It has to be tied to an account. So I remember then when I was introduced firstly to Azure. So we had our enterprise portal. I think they've collapsed everything into one. It used to be if you do ea.azure. Okay, there's an enterprise, there's ea.azure. EA is enterprise Azure. So enterprise account. You have it for enterprises. So it's different from what you see as an individual. They want enterprise to be able to manage their accounts, whatever subscription you are paying for. So what they do is you can pay for, let's say, $5,000, $100,000, and the likes. So when you pay for that account, for that subscription, you pay for that, you have that cost is upfront. You pay upfront and you start consuming from that credit you have. So you buy an Azure credit, whatever amount you want to pay for. So you'd have agreed and they will do that. Some people will say, okay, let's start with 100,000. There was a time they introduced it to us, we started with $15,000. After a while, it grew to $100,000. And so on your enterprise, they will ask you what department are you going to provision to make use of it. So it can be IT department, it can be finance, it can be marketing, wherever. But most times you find out it is IT that is being provisioned. And so when you have IT, you can even be sales. Sometimes, depending on how the industry is structured, if let's say it's an engineering industry, you can have products, you can have engineering, you can have auto and the likes. So depending on whatever structure, whatever environment, and depending on the industry, department differs. So from the department, you cannot break down, you must have an account. So if you check down here, I gave a little description that you have an enterprise enrollment that is mapped to one or many departments. So you can have as much department you want under one enterprise portal or enrollment tenants. So you can have as much department, and under each department, you can have multiple accounts. So what was that with $50,000? We needed to, I think, is because it's tied to EA contract. And at expiry of, then what happened is at the expiry of our EA contract with Microsoft, we are asked to buy something much bigger than the $15,000. So we needed to buy $100,000, $100,500 for the new account. So because they couldn't merge the account together, what they did was we have to open another account under the same department. So you can have multiple accounts. You can have multiple accounts. You can have account A, for instance, you have $50,000 there. Account B is $100,000. Account C is $200,000, depending on what you want. Depending on what you want there. So under that account, you can have map subscription. So subscription is just for the basic of putting a limit to how much they will spend. So let's say you have, in this particular instance, now you have account A, and what we're choosing to pay or subscribe to is $100,000. So under account A, we can have different subscription and say, okay, this account A want to have, let's say, like want to have like 5 subscriptions. So subscription 1, you can put $5,000 there. Subscription 2, $20,000. Subscription 3, $30,000, depending on whatever you want to put. So that people don't make it. So you just want to ensure that you are able to manage the cost very well. So in that instance, you can say for $5,000, let's assign it to test the environment. We don't want to do POC, we want to just quickly do a test. We don't expect it to be up for too long. We can have it there. Also, our major production environments, we can bring them under subscription 2 and subscription 3, like that. So that is just the structure. And when you need subscription, you now come to what is called a resource group. A resource group. So the way Microsoft has done it, is just a container to help you manage your resources. All the resources you have under Microsoft, you must put them under a resource group. All whatever resources you want to consume, whether it's on compute part, whether it's storage, whether it's network, you have your network security group. When we start, you see it. You will be asked to create a resource group, or if you have an existing group, so you might choose to say, I don't want to create another resource group. I want to put it on an existing resource group. So if you do that, then you can now assign your resources to such groups. It's just for easy management. For you to be able to easily manage your costs, you can see if there is how your credit is being utilized. You can see which resources is taking use of. I remember then, after we subscribed for $100,000, we started noticing that this credit is getting depleted faster than expected. So I was asked to look into it. And what I did was I generated the report. There's a way you can generate your transaction reports on the cloud. So I generated the transaction report, and I found out that there's a particular resource group that is taking most of these credits. So we have to break down what are the resources they have, what are the kind of VMs they have, what are the kind of, so if they have VMs, what is the compute for those VMs, what is the storage, what is the memory. For some, you have an hard disk that is making use of SSD when you should be using HDD and the like. So I'm going to play with that answer. So this is just the hierarchy for Azure. Just need to understand this. You start with an enterprise. From enterprise, you now have different departments, and you might choose not to have multiple departments. You just have only one department. You want to maintain only one department, and you also want to maintain only one account. You can maintain one account and multiple subscriptions, and you can choose to just keep all your credit on one subscription. But this is the way it goes. So before you can start consuming resources, start provisioning resources, you must have a subscription. And when you have a subscription, you must create a resource group for that. I just have to mention that so that that will be clear as we go to the answer session. So this is, I have to end there. It's a playground I have for Azure. So I have to spin another playground. Quickly, we'll just spin another playground so we can make use of. So we have, like I mentioned to us, major service providers. We have Google, we have Azure and AWS, which is Amazon. So I'm using Azure because that's what I want to do. So I have 3 hours that I know be able to do whatever I want to do before the expiry. So we started with our answer now. So like I mentioned to us, you need a portal to be able to consume those services. So Microsoft has given you a portal. That is where you go and enjoy whatever cloud service you want to enjoy. So this is a cloud, this is a portal. Ideally, if it's a different organization, you have something like, let's say it's CBN, and you have portal.azure.com/CBN. If it is an NCC/NCC, wherever enterprise it is you're working with is customized to your own enterprise. This is for core cloud. So I need to log in. This is my username. I'll be giving a username and a password. So I have another account. So like I mentioned to us, this is what is called cloud itself. See, I have a management interface. I want to access some resources. I'm not waiting for any IT department. I want to consume service myself. It's on demand. I have a need for a resource and I want to consume it myself. So I have to go by the internet. I'm not using any organization's platform. I'm not in the bank. I'm right here in my house. Over the internet, I'm going to log on and I'll have access. So this is the password. Now, notice this. I have to explain something to us so that it's clear to us. Now, when you are creating users, which we're going to do, we're going to do some demos on that. When you create users in the cloud, you have two options. They will tell you, either you turn on MFA, there's something that is called MFA, multi-factor authentication, saying that when users are coming to consume my service, I want them to be able to log on with two means of authentication. I don't want to stop at the layer. So there are different layers of authentication. So once you have multi-factor authentication means that you want to authenticate users, you want to identify somebody that is going to come and consume your service. You get, in this case now, let's say this is our platform now, I want to come in here. So you are going to say, I don't want to just come and do username and password. That is archaic, it's old school. You don't want to do username and password. What I want you to do is, after using your username and password, which you know your username, you know your password, I want you to use other means of authentication. One of it is Microsoft Authenticator app. So it means that I'll be able to log on to my platform using my phone. I'm going to demonstrate it for us. I'll be able to log on to my platform using my phone. That is one means. Another means is I can say, send me an OTP at any time as another layer of authentication. After I've signed into my username with my username and password, I want you to send me an OTP. And so before I'll be fully signed on to that platform, I'll have to get an OTP that I will enter. So it should give me a prompt and say, enter the OTP we've sent to you. And I can also choose to say, I want you to call my phone number. So this is just to give added security to your platform. So if anything happens to my phone, for instance, somebody that's taken over my account, he knows my username and password has been compromised for whatever reason, he cannot enter because he doesn't have my phone. So for you to be able to access, to take full ownership of my account, that means you know my username and password, you have to also own my device. In fact, what I've done on my own device now is that when you have my device, when I'm trying to use Microsoft Authenticator, it will give me a code which I will approve. When I approve it, it will also tell me to unlock. So I have to use my lock ID to unlock it. I can choose to do password, or I can do PIN, or I can do fingerprint. So look at the layers of security I've put in place to ensure that you are well secured, because it's well known today that a lot of compromise happens today in our world. And what it means is that username and password alone cannot serve you. You cannot just keep on standing on, once I have my username and password, I'm okay. It is no longer secured, because in a split of seconds, your account can be taken over and somebody else is using it. So now, because of what Kukla has done, is they've enabled MFA, saying that whoever is logging on to our platform on Azure must enable MFA, and you have 14 days. If you don't do it in 14 days, your account will be disabled. So after 14 days, you use an indicator, you'll be able to do that. So now you have 14 days. So I can tell it, I can go ahead and say next. If I do next now, it will tell me Sorry. So now you can see now. So this is for new users because I'm a new user. I want to log on to the Azure platform. It's telling me that you have to be enrolled. So they have to do MFA enrollment for me because it has been turned on. I'm going to show you see it. And once it's turned on, it means that you have to, you can see on your phone, you have to install the Microsoft Authenticator app. After installing it, it will now take you through registering it. So this account will be added to your Authenticator app. So that subsequent login, as you log in using your username and password, it will prompt you to put that login on your Authenticator app. But I wouldn't do that because I will just go back and say I don't want that. Sorry. I'll use what that means. I don't want that. What I want is I want to ignore. I want to try it later on. Yeah, so I'll say ask me later. I don't want to enable MFA now. So you can bypass it, but you have only 14 days grace. After 14 days, it will come. If you do it after 14 days, you lose access to that platform. So this is what your Microsoft Azure look like. This is Microsoft Azure. This is the management interface, and you have a lot of services. So this is like a quick start to take you through the platform, what it is. You have a service that is called virtual machines. You can see you have app services, you have storage accounts, you have SQL database. I told us when we were talking about platform as a service, SQL database. So you don't need to install. All you need to do is to just run it. You just click create this resource. It doesn't, you are not bothered about the infrastructure behind. All you're bothered about is I want SQL database, and if you spin it up and you start working, all you just bring to it is your data and you connect your application to that database and you start working. So you have Kubernetes service I mentioned to us. You have Azure Cosmos DB, there's function app, a lot of services available there. I don't want to do any tour now. So they've broken the service down into different categories. You can see you have AI and machine learning. You have one on analytics, data lake, Azure Databricks, there's data catalog, Power BI is there, Prometheus. So you can see there's Prometheus there for you. You want to manage analytics. So instead of you going to spin up a server, your environment, you don't need to bother with that. You just quickly spin up something from Azure Cloud and you start working. It's compute now. You have availability sets, you have post group images, so you have SSH keys. I'm going to demonstrate some to see how we make use of SSH keys. See, you have now, see, even VMware partner with Azure. So you cannot even say, I don't want to even buy this environment. I don't want to buy the whole VMware infrastructure. I just want to run it on the cloud. So you can use it on the cloud and you're fine. There's Azure Hack. So this is the container services. These are resources on a container. These are resources on a database. These are DevOps related resources. You have a marketplace. So this is where if you have other third-party tools or software you want to make use of, apart from what Azure has. So the other third-party tools that you can do. So you can see there's Twilio, there's Azure Monitoring. There are a lot of third-party services you can purchase from the market, just like you have Play Store, Google Play Store, the Amazon Play Store, and the likes. So different services you want to buy from the marketplace. And so if you come to a hamburger menu, so you can go to your dashboard. This is my dashboard. On my dashboard, it's just to show you resources. You can see the resources you have and Whether you have a computer, you have VM, you have database, it's an app service, it's a container, whatever it is you have. And you can even do service edge, such that you can see what is happening. See, like I mentioned to us. So these are regions. See, these are regions where you have Microsoft Data Center. What we just explored not too long ago. So these are regions where you have Microsoft Data Center. If there's an issue, you get an alert. You just come here and it will tell you, oh, sorry, there's an issue on this. So you even know if the issue is going to impact your own region or not. If it doesn't impact your region, you are fine. You are good to go. If it does impact a region, you don't even need to be bothered because they will take care of it. They will migrate that services or whatever service you have running from your region will be migrated and you can run from a different region. So let's quickly do some play around user. Let's try and create some resources. Now, we start with, there used to be something called, so these are frequently, over time, Microsoft, they've discovered that because they are very smart and they are very innovative also. They've seen that over time, when people come on our platform, the first thing they want to do is you want to check Azure AD, you want to look at, these are the resources that people want to create. You want to create a resource group, you want to create a virtual machine. Is it an app service? Is it storage account, SQL database, cost management, virtual network, whatever it is you want to create. So you can also create like a local network for yourself in the cloud. You create a virtual network whereby you just try to restrict service and say, okay, this network, I don't want it exposed to every other person in the tenant. So this is my own tenant now. Tenant is just like your space, your cloud space. So just imagine like that data center that we went to, you have different compartments. So like I mentioned about resource pooling, everybody has, these all resources have been pulled together. All the subscribers of Azure, all Azure subscribers, what it does is there's a particular tenant space that has been assigned to you. And from that space, you can consume your own service. So it's not as if, even though your resources are dedicated to you, but it is coming from a pool. There's a pool that has been pulled together for you to run. So wherever it is you are spinning from, is from that data center you are spinning. And so before now, there used to be Azure AD, but it has not changed. It's not Microsoft Entra ID. It's not Entra ID. So there are times it was Azure AD. And now, when we talk about Active Directory is I will call it a database. You see, it's a database, it's a service, it's a database service. And what it does is it helps to manage users. It helps users to connect to resources, network resources they need to carry out their work. Now, I mentioned to us now, I'm a user, let's say I'm working for Code Cloud, and they give me my ID card, they give me my username and password to log in. There is no way that can happen without Azure AD. So if you are working in an organization, I'm trying to break it down so that I know there are some people that are new to some of these terms. So when you talk about AD is just a directory service. Directory, where you have, what's it called? Like your phone. Most of us, we have contacts. That contact you have on your phone is a directory. So at any point in time, you can call in a number. Oh, you've said, I've saved Dakpo. Let me call Dakpo. Let me call Shin. Let me call Nuruddin. Whoever you're calling, let me call Lawrence and the likes. So it's a directory. So it helps to manage. So what Azure does for you, Azure AD does, which in your on-prem, if it is on-prem, I mean in your own environment, it is not called Azure AD. In your environment, it is called AD, Microsoft AD, Active Directory. So Active Directory will help you to say, oh, you have new users, or you have staff in your environment. Your organization is having 1,000 staff, or let's say 1,005 staff. This 1,005 staff, you need to give them email, you need to give them access to work on the system, maybe a laptop, a desktop, and the likes. They have different functions they are doing. You have some people that all they are doing is to attend to customers. Let's say it's a call center. You have people in your call center when there's a request from customers, they are picking it up. When there are issues, they are picking it up. There's an escalation, they are picking it up. These call centers or contact center staff, they need a system to work. They need to log on to your environment. They need to log on to access their emails and the likes. And you also have a platform or applications that you have created for them where they can see all your customers and they can attend to the customer. So they come to the platform and create, oh, there's a customer that is called Seun. Oh, he said he wants to consume this service, or he's trying to log on to internet banking, he's not able to log in. You put in all those details there. But now, they cannot just come and start working. You need something that will identify each person. You need something that will be able to give them access to say, oh, I'm allowing you to connect to this system for 2 hours. Oh, I'm allowing you to connect to this system when you're on duty. When is your shift time? Your shift time is afternoon shift. AD can do that for you. With AD, you can manage and say, I don't want you to log on to my sales. Some of us, you have seen it in your organization, whereby if you work in an organization that runs shifts, if you come in for afternoon shift and you're for morning shift, you'll not be able to log in. Because there are settings and policies that have been applied to say, these people that are coming from morning shift, they can only log in for morning. And there are some organizations that will tell you, we don't want to know whatever shift you are. As long as you are meant to work on that day, you work. They will allow you to have access to the system. And there are some organizations that will tell you, when you're on leave, if you are going on vacation, you should not access our system. Go off the system. You are disabled for a while. All those things, all those policies, they are done by Active Directory and they are on-prem. But when you now choose to say, I don't want to be burdening myself with buying servers, doing upgrade every now and then. I want something very sweet. I want something that anybody can go and do it on their own. You now say, let's do Microsoft Azure AD. It is an Active Directory that is in the cloud. It is cloud-based. It's not in your environment. It's cloud-based. And Microsoft has changed it. It used to be Azure AD. It's now Microsoft Entra ID. Microsoft Entra ID. And so, like I told us, you have users, you want to manage the kind of access they have. You are bringing them to your environment. What applications should they access? What resources should they access? So this is the Azure AD. This is what it is. You have users. Let's look at the users we have. Users we have in our environment. So this is my own tenant. So see that my own mini data center, but it's in the cloud. Whatever infrastructure that is running behind, I don't care. All I want to know is that I have these assets working for me. So this is, I'm trying to load, I want it to load so I can just have a discussion on it. So if you check down, you see something like Microsoft AAD. AAD is Azure AD. IAM is Identity and Access Management. So we want to know, who are you? We want to know your identity. If you are coming into the environment and you say you're Dakpo, okay, tell us that you're Dakpo. How do you know you're Dakpo? There are a lot of Dakpo in the system. There are a lot of Dakpo in the world today. There are a lot of Dakpo where you reside. So how do we know which exact Dakpo is logging on to the system? And so they've given you a username, they've given you a password. So you log in. Why is this taking? Okay. Now, so this is my tenant. I mentioned to us, this is all called tenants. In my tenant, you can see I have 257 users. I have groups. I have applications. I have devices. So these users, I can manage them and tell them what are the applications I want you to be able to use, to have access to? What are the devices I want you to be able to have access to? And I don't want any other person, or I don't want any other device in my environment. You can't just come and bring in whatever device you have and say, I'll come and start working. I want to be able to manage the device and also have visibility to that device and say, see, I can tell you what you should do or what you should not do on the network. You can see. So these devices that are 12, it could be laptops, it could be desktops, it could even be mobile phones. There's MDM on Azure. It could be mobile phones. So you can see. So you can see that these are desktops. These are desktops. These Windows 10 OS C. So you can see they're all Windows desktops. So it will tell you the name of your device. It tells you the OS you are running. If I have a Linux device, it will capture it for me. With Azure, I can know and say, oh, I've admitted a device that is running a Linux OS. See, it can tell you when did you register. See, your registration date. You get, so you can onboard whatever device you want to onboard. Let's go to users now. So these are users. So you can see I have different users. So it's saying user type, guest. When you see a guest, it means that this person is not in my environment. It doesn't work together with me in Azure Cloud, in Co-Cloud, sorry. He's not working in Co-Cloud. See, so you have user type. It could be you're either a member or a guest. You can see you're either a member or a guest. For a guest, I will send you an invitation to say, oh, come in and log into my environment. I want to give you access to my tenants. Okay, because of you are doing some things for me, and I want to give you, I need to profile you to log in with your login credentials. You can see. And you can also tell the identity of this person. This person is using email that is not Microsoft email. You get, it can also be a Microsoft account. So this is a Microsoft account this person has used to come on my tenant. So you can see how I was created. These users were created with what? Invitations. I'll run very fast because of time. See, they are created with invitations. So you can create a new user. You can download your users. I want to see number of users that I've downloaded. You can download, I've created rather. You can download this. You can just click on download users. See, it will create a CSV file for you. You see it. So it makes management very easy. All these are done right in the cloud, over the internet. I'm not in any environment. And so the advantage of having Azure AD is that your users can get to change their password from their own device. They don't have to come to your network to do it. So you have bulk operation. Bulk operation is that we've employed 20 set of staff coming to the environment. I can do bulk invites. You can see bulk invite is that you have a CSV file. You know, see now there's a template for you, it's optional, but there's a template that Microsoft Azure recognizes that you can work with. You can load the template, you edit your CSV file and upload it. When you edit it, it has given you the headline. Let me just see. So you can see, this is the template. So it tells you what is the email address the person you want to invite, what is the direction URL. So you know if you are sending an invitation message, if you want to send an invitation message, whether yes or no, or is true or false, if you want to have a customized message. So what you just need to do is for each user, so you can tell whatever message you want to customize, you just use this template And you can do a bulk invite to 50 users, to 1,000 users without doing manually, and you'll be fine. And you'll be fine. So we can now do new user. You can choose to create one after the other. So you can see this is an external user. And if you ask, what is the email you want to use? You get, of course, I would have asked for the person's email. So what is your Gmail or your Microsoft email or your Yahoo mail? Give it to me. I'll put the email there. I'll put what name I want to display. What is the name I want to display? What is the message? If I want to send an invite message, I'll put it there. If there are people I want to copy, I'll put it there. It will copy them. You get? And I'll now review and invite. Once you send this invite, this person gets it. Let's get somebody's email. Can I get somebody's email? Let's have a test. Who wants to volunteer?
I will volunteer, sir.
All right, let's have your email.
Okay.
You can drop it on the chat, so I just pick it. All right,
Okay,
good.
sir.
Nobody has dropped. So, display name, let's say, what is the head there? Let's say Ola Badmus. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Since it's Olawale, let's use Olawale. Olawale Badmus. Now, he's asking what invitation I want to use. I just say, welcome to daas bootcamp. I want to copy anybody I can copy. I'll do the next. So next now is user type. So is this person a member of my platform? Or no, you are not a member, you're a guest. If you're a member, it will generate an email I will send to you that you can use to log on. So I can put in your name, what name I want to give you, your surname, which is your last name. I can put some other details there, your job title, DevOps practitioner. Company name, daas.ng. Employee type. There are other details you can put there. You choose, you want a age group, parental control, so that, let's say it's even a child that is coming for an internship. You can put it there. You can put users location, saying that I don't want people outside of this location. I can say, where do I want you to use this account? I can do Nigeria. If you try to log in from a country that is not, that is meant from usage location, you won't be able to access it. I can do Nigeria, but if you don't do anything there, it means anybody from anywhere can log into it. Anybody from anywhere can log into it. So let's just put Nigeria. So if I do Nigeria, if you are not in Nigeria, you can never log in. It won't give you access. So I can do group for you. I can do roles. There's something called RBAC, rollback access control. Rollback access. So now, because of the tenant I'm using the playground, there are some features that are not enabled for me. Ideally, what I would have done is, as I'm creating this user, I will put him into a group and also give him a role. So based on the role I've assigned to you, it determines the privilege you will have. So you're saying that whatever privilege I'm giving to you, it is based on your role. Your privilege is based on role. Are you going to be an administrator? Will you be a contributor? Will you be like maybe a backup admin? So depending on whatever role you are going to be playing. And Azure is sensible enough. It knows what to do based on whatever role I've assigned to you. So I can just do invite. See, you can see it. I don't have to spend 20 hours. In less than 1 minute, you can see. It has sent the invite. You can confirm to us. So it has invited Olawale. Did you get the invite?
Not yet.
So ideally, he will get an invite. Once he get that invite, they will give him a link to log on. And
Invite
so
received.
you can see it. Where is he? He's not where I am. He's not in my location. So he can be anywhere. Olawale can be in the US. I will create a user for him. He will start. So some of these remote jobs I are seeing, this is what they are doing. They are using Microsoft Azure AD to do it. And with that, the user can come in, log in. I can even approve his device and say, see, you must use a Linux device or you use a Windows device. I can specify that. And so these are the users. Once he comes on board, he accesses that link, he creates his username and password, whatever. I'm giving him that, I'm allowing him to choose that. You see, I'm allowing him to choose that. So we create a username and password, and I'm also telling him if I've enabled MFA, he will also need to register and get Microsoft Authenticator app to enable his MFA, and such that if he's going to log in, he needs that MFA to log in at every point in time. And becomes a user, and whatever group I put in, that is where he will be. I can choose to delete users. If I delete you, you come to under deleted users. I can reset his password. I can also give him access to reset his password. There's a service for that. So once I give him that, once you buy that service, that subscription under Azure AD, you can allow your users to reset their password, but some organizations are very sensitive. They won't allow that because if anything happens, somebody can just hijack your account and start take advantage and just compromise the environment. So, but ideally, there are features you can do. There are features you can do. You can also have an audit log. And somebody tells me, like I mentioned, I'm running the playground, so I'm gonna have a lot of assets. So the audit log, what the audit log would have done is to see where are you working from. So people that are jackpotting and they are saying, oh, I'm still working, sir. I'm going for leave. We can check and see where you're logging in from. If you're logging in from Nigeria, we can tell. If you're not in Nigeria, we can also tell. We can also look at your sign-in logs and see what time do you log in. So let's say we say it's an open system, come to work, everybody must come 8 a.m. It will capture your login time. I can generate a report and say, see, you didn't come in 8 a.m. When you came into the system, it was 9:45. That is the beauty of Azure AD. So it's a directory and it's running over the cloud. So you have groups. So see, you have different groups that you have created. There are some default ones that Microsoft has. You see, these are security groups. So Microsoft has already put some default groups on the portal. So you can see membership type assigned. It's telling you that this member is a cloud. You can also invite people to come from your on-prem. There's an handshake. You can have an handshake between your on-premises AD and Azure AD. You can get it integrated such that people that they were not provisioned on Azure AD, they were provisioned on your on-prem AD. They can get to access cloud resources also. They can get to access some cloud services from your local environment. And it's also vice versa because there's an handshake. You can get people to change their password on the premises, and you are going to see it here on Azure. And you can even allow people to, okay, I don't need to go to the environment. Don't come to work, just do it from home. When you change your password, it will also reflect, it's going to sync with what I have on-prem and to allow you to change your password, and you can also log in. So that is that about, like I mentioned, it's just an introductory class. We'll not do too much there. So you have roles and administrator. This for the hardback. So like I told us, you have different roles. Different roles. I can make you a log reader. A log reader means you can only read logs on the environment. You can't do anything. Just read the logs for me and give me action. If I make you an administrator, so you can see, and it tells you your role and gives you a description. You can see this privilege now. Application administrator says that you can handle a lot of things on this environment. So if you are giving somebody this application administrator role, you need to be very mindful that it's a privileged role. It has some administrative access. You can create and manage all aspects of the app registration and enterprise app. Whoever comes on board on your apps, you can see. So you can have somebody that is called an attack payload author. These are the features, these are the description, what the person can do. You can see it. And it tells you if this role is a privileged role or not. So you have a cloud application administrator to administer your cloud applications. See, device administrator, all the devices that are accessing your Azure AD. You see, they only limited access to manage devices on your AD. The other devices you have onboarded on your AD. This is just the beauty of it. There are a lot of administrative roles. So you can also create your own role. You can see, you can have new role created. You can create a custom role. So maybe I have a department that is called Treasury Department, and I want to have a Treasury admin. These are those default roles. You can also create your own roles. You can delete the roles. You can delete custom roles. You can download the assignments, what you have assigned, the roles you have assigned to people. You can download them, and you can have an history or a trend or a report that shows you all the roles that have been assigned in the last 1 month. You can refresh and the likes. You can also have audit log. You can see who is accessing it like that. So let's just do one more demo, then we wrap up the class. Let's try and spin up a VM. Let's spin up a VM, which is one of the things we'll do when we're doing. So when we're doing Terraform, this thing you're doing here, you can get Terraform to spin it up for you. You can get Terraform to spin up the resources, to create a VM for you, to create a storage, to create a database for you, and the like. So here now, this is a virtual machine, and because I don't have any running, it's telling me to create one. So I'm going to create a Azure virtual machine. I can have a preset configuration. I mean, there's a set of configuration settings that I've aligned or that I've come up with. And so, okay, well, anybody, this particular VM, I want you to have 8 gig, 250 gig of storage, and the IP you have some particular features that you want new users to have. You can make use of this reset configuration so that as soon as you are creating it, so let's say this is something you do every time. It's not a one-off provisioning. I have to provision users every now and then, and they have this particular feature that is unique to that is the same to everybody or applies to everybody. You don't have to start creating it. You just do presets. So anytime I want to create a user, I'll just go to that my preset configuration and I'll launch it or trigger it, and I'll be fine. You have the Azure virtual machine, see it, and you have the Azure VMware Solution virtual machine. So you want to create a VM that will sit on the VM's platform. You can do that. So this is Azure VM now. I'll just do create. So I want you to create a virtual machine for me. So it's creating it for me now. So like I told us, you must have a subscription before you can create a resources. You must have a subscription. And I told us that the hierarchy is that from a subscription, you now have resource groups. You must have a lot of resource groups. So you can choose to have default, you can choose to create new. Because of my playground, I can't create new. I don't have that privilege to create new. But I can choose an existing one. So this is an existing resource group. Anything you are creating, without a resource group, you can't create any resources. Before you can create a resources, every resources you create, Azure will ask you, what is a resource group? It's just an easy way of managing consumption. You know, I mentioned measured services. So that's the way you can measure it and say, oh, this resource group did this consumption for so and so hours, for so and so number of days, and this is the cost to it. So that's the way you can put in visibility, and you can also manage how you consume your cost. So now, what name you want to give the virtual machine? You need to give it a name. You see it, you have different regions. I told us Microsoft has built in. Look at the regions they have. These are where they have their data centers. These are where they have their data centers. So you can see there is UK West, they have in Canada, they have in Asia, they have in the Middle East, There is in Israel, Brazil, UAE is there, Switzerland, Poland, there's Germany. You can see different regions. We can just leave it at US, US, East US. Now, there's availability zone. Do you want an availability zone? So availability zone is just if you have different, like a sub data center, you get. So now on your particular region, you have availability zone. What availability zone does for you is that if there is an issue, let's say you are in zone 1 now. If there's an issue in zone 1, you can be routed to other availability zone within your region. So availability zone is also to ensure that if there's any downtime, you are not, it doesn't impact you, to minimize impact of a downtime in your region. Because really, there are situations whereby the entire region cannot be down. You might have 5 availability zones, you might have 10 availability zones. So let's say your own availability zone is down, you can quickly be routed to another availability zone. If you select availability zone, if there's an issue, you quickly route to that availability zone. Then image, what image do I want to make use of? Yeah, this is the OS. Do I want to do Ubuntu? Do I want to do SUSE? Do I want to do Red Hat, Oracle Linux? Is it Windows 2022 or 2019? You can see. I can also spin Windows. I can do Windows 11. I can do Windows 10. A lot of images are there. This is just for your OS images. So I can now say, let's do Ubuntu server. And now, so it's asking you the architecture, 64 bits. And now you have different size. So what kind of compute unit do you want to make use of? So most times people don't change this. You can see you have option to change this. You can do something much, because I don't need two virtual CPUs. Maybe what I need is just one. I can select that option. See, there's an option of 8 gig. There's an option of 8 gig memory. You can say I don't need 8 gig. What I want to do is something that will take. See, it's because of my. See, there are different limited privilege. So you can do 16 gig. You can do so. The more resources you consume, the more you pay. See, it's pay as you go. You get. Unlike what would have happened on prem. So I don't need 16 gigs, so I don't need to come and spend $140 per month. And this is what I would just spend. And if I even though I've said $70 per month, this is the estimate. If I don't spend up to a month, I won't end up paying $70. All I will pay might be, they will just compute percentage of what I've used up. If it is for 5 days, they'll compute it, and that's what will be charged. So your credit is being deducted as you make use of it. So if I provision this server, and I shut it down, I'll be fine. There will be no deduction that will be done. Unlike on-prem, you have a server, it must consume power, whether you're using it or not. You have to power it up. You can't shut it down, and you're like, so yeah, you can just shut down and you're fine without being bothered about it. And so you have the username. This is the username now, Azure user, and you can generate a key pair. See, you can generate a key pair for it. Now, this key pair is when you want to log into your server using SSH. I have something similar that I've done. So this is, so it will give you an IP. I'll have a public IP that I will use. So this is SSH connection. I want to connect remotely to this server without being physically there. So I will have to generate a SSH public key. I have it. So this is the key pair. There's a public key that is available on Azure. I will add the private one. That is the private one. I will now upload. I will show us how to upload that. So once I'm trying to access this particular VM, it's going to do an handshake with my private key, and with that I will have access to it. You will just see it. So this is the port for SSH, is port 22. Now I'm saying I want to allow a port. I can choose to say I don't want anybody to connect to it from outside, but I can allow selected port, which is port 22. You can see I can choose to add more ports. port 80, port 443, port 443. I want you to be able to access over the web. But let's do SSH. And now, so you can see, sometimes people are not mindful of what I want to do. I don't need, it's not performance intensive. So I don't need to take care of SSH. I don't need to consider SSH. I just need to consider HDD. So I can just do standard HDD. And with that, I will pay fewer. What I will spend will be reduced compared to when I'm using SSD, because SSD is a premium disk type. And see, 30 gig. I can say I don't want 30 gig. I want 20 gig, or I want something higher than this one. And you can see your key management. And so networking part. So it gives you a default subnet you want to use. There's a public IP that will be given to you. Already have the ports. If I don't want to go through all this one, I see, like I mentioned, rollback. So do you want this person to log on to Azure AD or not? Whatever you want to give the person. And you can also enable shutdown, auto shutdown in the sense that at a specified time, the system will shut down itself without you being there. So let's say you already know that, okay, my business runs from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can say once it's 6:30 p.m., shut down. It will just automatically shut down. And it will even give you a prompt to tell you, oh, shutdown time is about to happen. Do you want to extend it, or I should go ahead to shut down? I say go ahead and shut down or extend. So we can just create. So you can see this is what I will be paying per hour. So you can also download this template. Let's say this is something I know I will be doing every time there's a new user in my environment. I can download this template. This is the template I will always use to spin up server anytime, any point in time that I need to do it. So I just say create. I will tell it to now create. So it has given me that, see, this is the standard, this is the compute category I'm making use of. And this is the credit I'm going to be paying. So every hour, this is the amount that will be debited from my credit. So you can see now, here it's telling you to download your private key. I'm going to show us to see the importance of a private key. If you don't download it, it's not going to be available. It's not stored. So at the point of you creating the VM, it's telling you, do you want to create a private key? Yes, I want to download my private keys. I have to download it. Then the key is there. And I can now return to create my virtual machine. So it's creating it for me. You can see. So deployment is in progress. You have an update. You are seeing it live. You are not waiting for an administrator in your environment. You say, IT admin, what is happening? You can see within space of less than 2 minutes, it has created for me my network. You can see there's a network there. There's an IP. There's a network security that has been created for me. There's a virtual network that has also been created for me. It's giving you status. As it's happening, you are seeing it. Real-time status. Real-time status. And it can only happen in the cloud. You can see it's done successfully. You can see I have my VM deployed. It has been provisioned already for me. So you can go to your resources and check it. So you can see this is the deployment name. This is the start time. The day it started. The resource group. You can see that the subscription is being on. So you can have as multiple subscription, and on this subscription, you need to have resource group. So with this one, I can tell, you can't deny it. I can come and say, see, there's a resource group. The resources that is under this resource group that is consuming $50 every night, every night. And you can pinpoint it and show me and who is accessing it. So let's go to the resources. So this is the resources now. You can choose to restart the server. You can stop it. See, you can capture it just to have like a snapshot. You can run a refresh. You can open it in mobile, access your server. You can see. So it has created a local IP for me. This is local IP. This is the internal IP, the private IP. If I'm going to be talking to this VM internally on the tenant, this is the IP I will need. However, if I want to reach it from the outside over the internet, which is part of what advantage I have. If I'm on-prem, I can't connect over the internet to my on-prem resource, except I use the VPN. But if I'm not using the VPN, all I need to do is to come to this public IP. I click on it. I will come here, do a new session, and say new session. Now, what do I want to do? What kind of a session do I want to do? I want an SSH session. And now it's asking me what is the IP. This is the remote host. This is the host. This is the host, port 22. Remember, you can do advanced SSH settings and your private key. So let's just do this. Let me just show you so that you understand why we need a private key. I'll do something now. So let's say, okay. So this is the server. Now I'm accessing this server from the internet. So it's asking me, what is the login username? You see, it's not allowing me. I can't log in on this terminal because there's a privacy. You can see server sent public key. It's trying to authenticate me. He says, see, what you have configured is that you have configured that you should be able to access this server using SSH. And there's a public key that Azure has on the portal. It's expecting me to handshake with a private key, but I don't have a private key because I've not pointed it to the private key. It will not allow me to log in. But let me point to the private key now and we'll see. Now come here and say, use this private key. There's a private key I have. So this is my private key. And say, okay. So I tell it, my private key is Azure user. My private key is Azure user. So you can see it. It's authenticating with the private key. You can see I'm in here. You can see I'm in here. And I can do my IP. Sorry. So you can see, this is my private IP. 10.0.0.4. This is my private IP. This is a server, a Linux server. You can see. So I'm accessing it via SSH. It's hosted in the cloud, but I can access it locally using SSH. And that is possible because I've allowed it to use SSH key. So it's using a key. So the Azure platform has a public key. I have a private key. Once I present my private key to it, it will check, authenticate it and say, yes, this private key, I recognize it. I will allow you to work with it and I'll be fine. You can see, authenticating with the public key. You can see. So it's looking for my private key because I point the first time I tried to log in, I didn't give me access. You know, because of it was expecting a private key, but it doesn't know where the private key is. But now I've told it, see, there's a private key I have locally. Go to this private key, present it to the public key when it is being requested for, and see. So it's checking it. It's checking it and so I'm trying to establish a session to this particular IP. So you can see it. Azure user. So the beauty of having SSH key is that I don't need to remember username and password. All I don't need to know is username. All I need to know is know the username and I'll be fine. Do you know that you can also upload something to this server? Let's look. I will round up with this. It's just an introductory class. See, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Let's say our present directory. Okay, Azure home, Azure user. Now I can upload a file. This is the beauty of I can upload something to this file. Let me upload my key. So that's what the key is there now. Can you see it? The key is there. I want to see the privilege I have on this key. So you can see it's read write, read write. So the user has read write privilege. Every other person has read only privilege. You can see. So your key, because your key, anybody can tamper with the key. You must be careful of the privilege you assign to your key. You must be very careful, because if you allow read write on all other users, it means that anybody can come and tamper with that key. So let's look at let's see what is in this key. So you can see the key is encrypted. But if somebody have access to it, we can take this key and go and decrypt it. And if you tell me the details you have here is the username and the password that has been encoded. So that's the reason why you must be very careful. You don't play with your private key, because if you allow unauthorized access to it, what it means is that any other person can make use of it, and they will tamper with it. They have access to your resource, do whatever they want to do with it. That is the beauty. And so this is where we'll stop with our Azure introduction to Azure. We've spoken about how you manage users, how you create resources. We've seen how the whole platform is like. You can see. So if you come here, your dashboard, you can see the resources I have. You can see the resources I have. I have a virtual machine, and it's telling me the resource bill. So it's telling me the last time it was built was 8 minutes ago. If you come to your dashboard, you can see it's showing you the resources you have and what kind of resources they are. So you have a disk, you have an SSH key, you have a network interface, a virtual network, you have a network security group, you have a public IP. You can see. So here, I can see my public IP, and I can see what is it associated to. This is the virtual machine associated to, and the likes. So now look at the properties. So its provisioning state was successful. You can see. So thank you for your time. This is where we'll stop on Microsoft Azure. This was the bit about all about the cloud, and we focused on Microsoft Azure. There are a lot of resources, but because of my playground as limited, would have done something. Okay, someone wants to ask a question. You can go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Let me go on like this.
Yeah, please, sir. I was trying to create an Azure account. That was yesterday, but they were asking me for a student email, which I don't have. So how am I going to get an account for this?
Okay, so there are two options. There are two ways to do that. If you want to create an Azure account, one, you can come in as a student, or you come in as just a normal individual. You just come in as an individual. If you are coming as a student, the privilege, what you have is that you have, they give you $100 monthly for free for students. If you are using a student account, you have $100 that will be given to you. So, but however, the challenge is that they will have to validate the school email you've given to them. So if you don't have a school email, there's no how you can enjoy that service. They've given you a school, they will make a request for what is your school email. There are selected schools they are aware of. So there's a way they will validate it. They'll do the validation, send email to your domain and check if that email exists or not. If it does not exist, if it does terminate that request. If it exists, you get an alert telling you, okay, you successfully created your Azure account, and they also let you know of the credit you have. But if you don't have that email as a student, you can do individual. For individual, what they will just need is they will need to validate your phone number, and they will also ask you to impute or to have a card, a credit card. You can make use of debit card, but you know these days, because of this whole exchange rate issue, you have to have a card, a payment card. When you have the payment card, they will debit $1. The $1 is just to validate that that account or that card is active, is a valid card. So once they validate and is valid, they will return back your $1 to you. You can now have access to $200 for 1 year, or if you make use of it within 1 month, that's all. But if you don't consume it too much, if you're able to manage your consumption, it's available for 1 year. After 1 year, there are resources that you can use for free. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. But the point now is that they are not accepting Nigerian card. Mostly it's only a dollar card, and most of us.
Okay, so you can use. I know I've tried to use. There's a platform, Cheaper Cash. The other platform that have dollar card that you can use. Cheaper Card has dollar card, and I use them a lot. I buy a lot of things online using Cheaper Cash. So the only challenge with Cheaper Cash is that the exchange rate is very expensive, it's very high. Compared to the market and the black market, is very high. So you can use Cheaper Cash for it. They have the dollar card. You can chat me privately, or we can chat on the Discord channel. I can take you through it.
Sir, please, but the point is that the Discord account, I'm not in there again, because what I did, I actually changed my system, so everything was wiped away, and making use of another system, I can't really access it again. So I actually asked Mr. Dapo to actually have it upstairs.
What is your name? What's your name?
Ibok Emmanuel Michael.
Okay, I will drop my WhatsApp number. You can chat me, so we'll sort out your.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate.
I'm dropping my WhatsApp chat number.
Okay, sir.
You can chat me so that we'll sort out your Discord profile link.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Any other question? Are we all clear? Any area of any clarification? I've dropped it for you. Is that all?
Yes, I have a question, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So first off, I want to thank you for, the chance that we are giving everybody to explain these stuffs, right? So I'm sort of getting some kind of clarification on some things, because I think often nowadays we often misplace the function of a DevOps engineer and a cloud based engineer. What you have demonstrated so far to us is, I think, it's entirely concerns about cloud engineers, right? But
Yes.
right now, if you want to do, maybe you want to sit down for an interview of a DevOps engineer, they're expecting you to be able to do all the stuff of cloud-based engineer, but based on the fact that I think DevOps engineer, they are subset of cloud-based. So is it that are we supposed to have a cloud engineer and have a DevOps engineer, or is it that DevOps engineer are expected to be able to do all these stuff as well?
Okay, so what the way I will answer it is, as a DevOps practitioner, engineer, whatever you are doing has to be done on an environment. You get. So these old DevOps, most times, except some organization that gets DevOps engineer to come and work on-prem, most times as a DevOps engineer, your environment is cloud-based environment. And so it's expected that you have an understanding of that environment. You get it. So it might not be too detailed to the level of a cloud engineer, but you know, you can play around it at the basic minimum. So it could be Azure, it could be AWS, it could be Google, depending on what they are doing in that environment. Some people are fine with Microsoft, with Azure. They are all Microsoft shop. Anything you are doing is Microsoft. Some people is AWS. They won't tell you it's AWS. So, but the good thing there is that if you have knowledge of AWS, you can also apply it on Azure. If you have knowledge of Azure, you can also apply it on AWS. The truth I must tell you is that the platform, they do the same thing. The only difference is the name they call it. Is the name they call it. Your virtual machine, Azure will say VM. AWS will say EC2 instance. You get. So you already know, if you know VM, you know VM. VM is VM. You know, I'm talking of a virtual machine. So the only challenge you now have is what name is it being called? Oh, if I'm on AWS platform, it is not called VM, or it's called EC2. If I'm on Azure, it is called VM. So it's the same thing. All it does do is everybody wants to brand his name different and tell you, no, I'm not calling it RDS. I'm calling it Cosmo DB. I'm calling it this. So it's whatever name they're calling, but the properties, the features of those resources is the same. Compute is compute. Memory is memory. Storage is storage. Do you understand? So the only difference there is the name I'm calling it. I believe that is clear to you. Abdurrahim, you want to ask a question? Abdurrahim.
No, sir. No.
Okay. All right.
Okay, sir. I have a question, sir.
Okay.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah, with you.
Okay, sir. But we can also manage every resources on Azure using the Terraform way, right?
Yes. You can't. So when we're doing Terraform, Newton made mention of you have your providers. It will ask you what provider you want to use. You want to make use of your local, is it local, or you want to use Azure, you want to use AWS. Everything that we have done today, even creating this VM, you can do it with Terraform. And that's why it's called infrastructure as a code. So I want to manage my infrastructure using a code. I don't need to start coming to click. All I just need to do is write 1 or 2 lines of code, and the whole of my infrastructure is embedded into it. I can provision my infrastructure from that. So look at the number of lines we have to. So depending on what you want to align with, you get. If you want to, you prefer, I like to do GUI, but it's faster when you're using IAC. It's faster, and it allows you to do multiple. You can do a bulk provisioning. You can do bulk provisioning. You can apply features to it. Look at the aspect when we're talking about variable distance. So just like that. So whatever you are doing on the cloud, you can do IAC, and that speaks also to the question that Adu asked. That is the reason why you now need to understand the cloud environment. You need to have an understanding of it, because some people might tell you stay on-prem, and some people might tell you no, my provider will not be on-prem. My provider will be Azure. So I say my provider will be AWS. But whatever knowledge you have, if you are conversant with AWS, you can also apply it to Azure. And if you are conversant with Azure, you can apply it to AWS.
Okay. Sir, can we have your contact just in case we want to maybe have more deeper knowledge about these things?
All right, I will drop it to everyone. I've dropped my WhatsApp number. You can just chat me. And yeah.
Okay, thanks.
That why you're online. Hi, Dako. Okay, so this is what we'll call it today. Thanks everyone for committing your time to join this